So in terms of that head position we were talking about, almost having kind of a focus back here, this is where your low point's going to be. Your club's going to be getting low here and then hitting the ball on the way up. So with the irons, your low point's there. Almost like you're looking down there and then you're able to move that way into the golf ball and strike down on it. With the drive, almost keeping your vision and your eye line looking back here and slightly up in the air, so you see where that low point's going to be. And this one here now from face on, the one thing I like about this now is when you come into the golf ball, you can see almost like the peak of your cap there is standing behind the ball. So again, a bit of movement, but not a massive amount of sway there. We're not moving our head kind of over here, so that's good. Okay. Now from here with the peak of your cap, you can see impact. Head staying, we'll go back a frame. There you go. Head's behind the ball and almost looks as though you're looking down here, doesn't it? Which is going to get your head staying back here. Keep that shoulder back. Everything's going to stay back. And what you'll notice on this one, that position we've talked about with that right forearm on the club, top of the backswing here now, as we start coming back down, as we start back into the golf ball now. I'm going the wrong way there, not here. As we start coming back in, we get to about here. You can see now, there's the we go straight down on it. There's the shaft, and there's your forearm pretty much on it. Is it perfect on there? Not quite, but it's certainly getting. Oh, we've had it up here before. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Which is why now, when you come to the golf ball and how to swing through it, you're able to release that club on a line and a path that's much more efficient. Look at that club's coming from there now. Yeah. We're getting that shape, So that club's coming from there because you're coming from that better angle and your head's staying behind the golf ball. You're able to release the golf club through, start it just right at that white line, and see the shape of shot that we were getting there. Now that ball's going to start on the right-hand side with a soft little draw. But you're creating a draw from here and here, not there at the last second, trying to flip your hands over. Because when you try to hit it on that second one, after you blazed it in the trees right, the next drive you try to hit there, we did a bit of a tweak there with the setup and got that sensation standing behind it. Yeah. You did that, but then also tried to say we handed it down the fifth fairway somewhere because you added a secondary element, which is that sort of that fight in that battle. If you know a golf,
find that ball,
you feel exactly, and that's why I 100% agree. You will always try to hit a golf ball to not lose it in some ways off a tee, especially there's trouble on the right hand side. As I said, if you're fighting that war against the ball doing this, you're going to do whatever you can to send it that way. In just desperation in some ways, But once that wall's finished and the ball's not going to the right because the movements you're making are better, taking away that element and still not wanting to do this will take a little bit of trust, For you to be able to stand there and almost feel as though when that club is coming into impact, not that you're holding the club face open, but your hands and arms are working a little bit. I mean, the hands are working excessively through impact and release in this way. They're not sort of blocking and passive, but they're not trying to corkscrew and roll over. So a lot of times people get this impression when they're swinging through impact that the hands aren't doing a lot. They certainly are, but the sensation as you're hitting this golf ball here now, you can all see the movement of the golf club here now. If we sort of look at your arms, what they're doing, or not as the case may be, as you come through here now, there's not a lot of kind of like flip or rotation, No. There's a good body rotation. The club now and the body are rotating, so through impact, the club is a lot more passive in terms of its movement. It's not kind of flipping that toe over to try and think, oh, please don't go right, But you would do that in the past because you knew the golf ball would potentially have that slice spin on it. And now desperation kicks in. If you've got out of bound line down there, you're going to do whatever you can to try and send it over here.
And but it's your big muscle. The big muscles producing the speed there, not the.
Exactly. But the thing is, if the small muscle trying to square the club face up, that's where we talk about pitching and chipping. You use the big muscle to try to move the club and control because they're a lot more quieter and controllable. When you're using this, if you see people chipping the same way chipping we talked last time, when you're trying to chip, the body has to move the club. It's not this flicking. Anytime you start using your wrists create a lot of speed. Okay, but if they're to try and square the club face up or hit delicate chip shots, disaster. So definitely better. For me, the pleasing is that sort of angle, that club into there, coming into that position, getting in line with that right forearm nicely there. You're able just to release the body with, and again, when there's no real fear on this, I would go right. I think you've one ball right of the line maybe by about 5 yards. The rest have been on the left hand side of the fairway. So you've got a good strike there. It's just now trust that you can do that regularly and not have to try to flip the hands over, okay? So have a couple more then, and then we'll see how many fairways we can hit. But it's quite good to go on a hole like this, Pete, because you can see it gives you a little bit more of a visual to play rather than the massive drive. It's like 100 yards wide and you can't miss it, can you? So